I think we need to think of it this way. Functionality determines usability. Emotion determines engagement. So how a space makes people feel shapes belonging. It shapes well-being. It shapes motivation. It shapes connection. Employees are not coming back for desks or meeting rooms or coffee machines. They have that. They've had that at home. They return because it feels good to be there. They feel seen. They feel valued. There's energy. There's community. There's purpose. Function is objective, but feeling is subjective. And you can measure functionality easily by usage rates, how often is the space being used, noise level, flow efficiency, wayfinding. But feelings have to be measured differently. It's a sense of belonging. It's psychological state. Do I feel comfortable being here? Do I feel comfortable doing the work I need to do? Do I feel comfortable raising questions or asking different things? And comfort and delight and stress reduction, right? Is there space conducive to my being productive in a way that reduces my stress? A lot of times companies optimize the objective data, which is space programming, but they overlook the emotional piece of it, which is a human experience, right? A functional place can make people show up. We know people are showing up because there are all kinds of return to office mandates, but an emotionally engaging workplace is what makes them want to come back and it makes them want to stay. I think you have to focus on, it comes down to designing for two things at the same time: operational flow and human experience. And they have to go hand in hand, right? Because again, we're talking about efficiency, but we're also talking about welcoming, right? You want to walk into a place where you feel that you're being seen, that you're being heard. And again, the being seen piece is like super important, right? Because you're coming in and you want to feel like you belong here, a sense of belonging. So a couple of things that you need to focus on is operational efficiency has to be baked into the environment, right? Employees have to know what to expect when there's break coverage, when there's desk management, when there's visitor protocols, right? The processes have to be clear and has to be predictable services. Smart space layout, right? Which reduces friction, right? Like you shouldn't have to traverse the entire workspace to get to the pantry or get to the kitchen or to get to the restroom, right? You should be able to have a pretty smooth flow that makes sense for the workday. And then again, technology tools that support, not complicate workflow. Mobile check-in, consolidating service requests, booking systems, and there's lots of booking systems out there, but the ones that's going to be the easier and more efficient are the ones that are going to make the workplace less complicated. But the other piece of that is the hospitality has to make the space feel welcoming, warmth, intentionally human touch points, friendly. You walk in there, someone says to you, "Good morning, John. Good morning, Elizabeth. Good morning, Kathy." They know you by name. You feel like you belong there. The spaces have to feel comfortable, not necessarily that you talk about corporate America. It has to feel comfortable, not necessarily corporate. You don't want to feel like you're just an employee number on a payroll sheet, right? Lighting is important. Music, scents, textures, subtle choices that can shift the emotional tone of the workplace, right? You walk into a place that's brightly lit. It's a lot of welcoming tone. It makes you feel welcome. It can change. You may have had a difficult commute coming into the office. It makes you feel welcome. It changes your entire mood, right? Amenities that show care. We focus a lot on thoughtful coffee moments, concierge style support. You're visiting the office for the first time. You want to know where everything is. How are you going to know that? Someone's going to have to walk you through that. That's where the hospitality piece comes in. And in clear ownership of the experience, like one of the biggest factors that I think teams struggle with is how do we curate an experience that people are going to feel connected to? And it's listening to what they are saying, hearing what they're saying, seeing their pattern of behavior. Maybe you know that by 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, they're looking for that coffee break, but they don't just want to walk to the pantry and just make a cup of coffee. Maybe they want to do a coffee tasting. Curate an experience for them. Bring in some vendors that can offer different options rather than just coffee, maybe matcha, maybe lattes, maybe espressos, right? Something that speaks to them and that they can really resonate with and they can connect to. That's how you're going to get that efficiency. That's how you're going to get that consistency. Efficiency creates trust, but hospitality creates belonging. Makes you feel like you want to be there. First and foremost is you have to bring the company's values to life through daily behaviors. When we come into a space, we don't bring a preset of what culture should be. We elevate and we activate that company's culture. A space that supports culture is when people feel the values. They don't see them on the wall, right? If we talk about respect for all, right? We want to make sure that we're being professional and courteous at all times, right? Front of the house staff and support teams, they have to model what the company's values are. What is the company's tone? Warm, innovative, service-driven. Build small rituals, right? That makes the difference in your workday, right? Morning greetings, welcome back gestures, monthly recognition. Again, inspired by the company culture and what the company wants. And your amenities have to align with services within the identity of the organization. What does that mean? Every offering should reinforce what the company stands for. You have to curate the offering for what the company is. If you're a wellness company and a wholeness company, you're going to want to bring in those elements that promote and reinforce a healthy lifestyle, whether it's bringing in healthy food once a week or bringing in a yoga instructor, meditation. Again, curate it to fit the company's culture and what the company's values are. Wellness forward companies going to bring in restorative spaces, hydration station, guided stretch breaks, maybe put some literature around the office or have some things on the screen that remind you to stand up, take a break, stretch for a few minutes. Or even if you're on back-to-back calls, you look up, you see a monitor that has stretching exercises, you're sitting at your desk, you can do that while you're sitting there, while you're on a call. Make the workplace feel cared for, right? Culture grows in maintained intentional spaces. Make sure that small hospitality touches, fresh flowers, seasonal scents, curated playlists. You come in the morning, do you want something loud and raucous, or do you want something calming, soothing, that's going to get you in the right headspace? You have to pay attention to all of those things because all of that combined together sends a message. People matter here. We care about you being here. We care about your well-being. And again, it goes back to people matter here. Data shows that, especially with large corporations, not the same people are coming to the office every day. So you could have, on a weekly basis, you could have 70, 60%, 50% new people coming in. What that means is they don't know the space. They don't know what's available, especially if it's a large footprint, if you got 5, 6 floors. And there was a period of time where people were coming in and we were giving them tours and things like that. A woman came into the office one day. She wasn't feeling well. She had a really bad migraine and she didn't want to stay at her desk because it was a heavily populated space. There was a lot of bright light, there was noise, and she really wanted a space where she could be in the dark for a few minutes, just be by herself, and she wasn't aware of what was there. And one of our ambassadors was walking the floor, and again, situational awareness, observation, saw someone that didn't look like they were having a great time. They didn't look like they're having a good day. Approached them, say, can I help you? Is there something I can help you with? And the woman explained, I have a migraine. I don't really feel well. And our ambassador said, we have a wellness room. It's in a closed place. It's an enclosed space. It's got a recliner. It's got a sink, water. You can shut the lights off. It doesn't have any windows. So it's a dark space where you could take as much time as you need. When you feel better, just you can step out. We can take you to the room. We can show you where it is. And if you need it for future visits when you come to the office, we can show you how to reserve it, whether it's on a first come, first served basis or if it's in a reservation space. But that piece of information for someone who had a really great need at that moment, that made a huge difference for her workday because now she could step aside. She could take 15, 20 minutes, an hour, whatever much time she needed. She can reset, she can feel better, she can go back out into the workday and be productive again. But that made a huge difference for her because now she knew if I come to the office and I don't feel well, or if I have a moment, whatever it may be, there's now a space where I can go and step away from all of it. And it can help me re-energize. It can help me reinvigorate myself to come back to be my best self at the office again.